More medications, less health. Something's broken. Traditional medicine manages symptoms, but true healing addresses root cause. I'm Josh Rimini, pharmacist turned healer. At Beyond the Pills, we merge ancient wisdom with modern day science to inspire you through stories of transformation, practical trainings, and holistic healing. Join me and other practitioners as we guide you towards vibrant health, body, mind, and spirit, and move beyond symptom management into true healing. Hello. Welcome to this episode of Beyond the Pills. I'm Josh Rimini, pharmacist turned healer. And today I have a really cool guest. I'm super excited for this, super psyched for this, actually. Dr. Adam Dorsay. He's a licensed psychologist and executive coach with Silicon Valley, where he works with high-achieving adults, including professionals, executives, entrepreneurs, and professional athletes. Dr. Adam is the host of Super Psyched, an award-winning podcast with over 200 episodes available on all platforms. He has given 2 highly regarded TEDx talks, one about men and their emotions, and the other about friendship and adulthood. I can't wait to dive on that. His new best-selling book, Super Psyched, I've got it right here. Unleash the Power of 4 Types of Connection and Live the Life You Love is now available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere else you buy books these days. Beyond his private practice, Adam is a resiliency expert who co-created an international program for Facebook's online safety employees for several years. He now serves as the resiliency consultant to DigitalOcean and has frequent requests from the media for interviews. He has provided keynotes and trainings to multiple corporations and organizations, including Microsoft, LinkedIn, and the California Psychological Association. He's happily married, the father of young boys, and has a hypoallergenic 33-pound Australian Labrador therapy dog named Rafi, who lives at his home and works at his office. Welcome, Dr. Adam Dorsay.
Josh, so glad to be with you.
How does it feel like hearing the intros? Because when I say them, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much like in line with me, all the men's work and the things you're doing about connection and the things like we got lots to talk about. So welcome to the show, man. This is so fun. I'm so excited for this one.
Likewise, Josh. Love your enthusiasm. Really appreciate your generosity.
So let's dive in. Let's talk a little bit about you, like your origin. Like where is this all coming from here? Like this whole process that you've created. Like I want to talk a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. You and I were talking about authenticity offline and how it changes everything. And for years, I was out of alignment only due to the fact that I was derailed by undiagnosed issues. I had a learning disability. I had profound dyslexia and other issues, and I had ADHD. And for years, I marinated in the idea that I was not intelligent. And it took me a long time to intellectually grow up. A lot of mentors along the way. I had a Mr. Miyagi. I definitely had a Yoda and an Obi-Wan Kenobi along the way, providing me with the good stuff. And thank God for that. And at around 27, when I was properly diagnosed with ADHD, the inattentive type, I put myself through a whole bunch of interventions so that I could discover who I was and not be impaired by that unnamed issue that had been going on for years. Then I married a woman who was doing exactly what I wished I was doing. I married a psychologist. And every day after work, I was in sales at the time. I'd been in the corporate sphere in the US and Japan for a number of years. She would describe her day helping people. And I had this existential crisis. I wanted to be doing what she had been doing. And in fact, I'd started the process. I'd gone to school for it, but I'd left with the ill-informed idea that I wouldn't be able to get through. And perhaps actually it wasn't so ill-informed because maybe at that stage in my life, I wouldn't have gotten through for all I know. In any case, years of begging from my wife for me to get back on the horse and finish my doctorate be willing to tolerate being a little bit poor for a little while and become a licensed psychologist was one of the greatest gifts I've ever gotten. There were other helpers along the way. My buddy Aaron, who contributed and said, dude, you got to do this. What are you thinking? And I got to tell you, just like you, I mean, the kind of excitement that I feel from you about what you do, because it's so authentic to who you are, is exactly how I feel on the inside. I know I'm judging your outside by my inside. I think that's the expression that people often use. But I'm telling you, the vibe that I get when I hear you talking about the Josh Rimini experience of being so stoked at what you're doing because it comes from such an authentic place. That's how I feel every day when I'm providing therapy or when I'm doing my own podcast, when I'm doing my keynotes, all the things. And I'm so grateful to the people who helped me along the way. I think about them every day without exception. So I really do try to put the tenets of positive psychology into my own personal practice as a psychologist, as a husband, as a father, as a friend, all of those things. And it's a really exciting time to be a psychologist because there's just so much cool research coming our way about how to look at things just a little differently. And they're becoming empirically validated, which gets me really excited. But the bottom line, and I didn't go for this, but I'm going to tell you anyway, Josh, since you asked and it would be incomplete. This is kind of like a Quentin Tarantino moment where I'm going back to the origin just for a second. My mom said that when she pushed me in the stroller, I was born the most connected baby she'd ever seen. I was out there looking at people, just trying to draw them in. So here I am now doing the same thing. And it's working for me. So I had to write this book on connection. I'll tell you a little bit more about why the book was written, but that's the origin story.
I love it. One, I hear things like walk the walk. Like it's not like you're living the full authentic self. And then, and that's a big piece because this is, we gotta scrub down the parts of these conversations we have with, like, there's a lot of buzz around full authenticity, but then we got to really talk about it, right? Living your full authentic self. What does that mean? Well, it makes choices, right? You're talking, and we'll get into this with the types of connection because I love the first one. You put it first for a reason, because I've walked this walk myself recently. This isn't something that's, and I love the fact that this full circle of like, oh, by the way, when I was a baby, it's like you're imprinted with this thing connection. And look, it came out to something real. It wasn't something that was like this fictitious, like dreamland of a thing. It's like living your authentic self. And all of a sudden, look at all those pieces that aligned, all those people and friends and the person you met and married. And now we're lit up, right? You, I, the people that get to, because guess what? I want to talk about this with you is everybody. My version is everyone has the right to be vibrantly healthy.
Beautiful.
And vibrant, when you put that word in there, changes the dynamic. And here, everyone has the right to live their full authentic self the way they were designed to do. Some people get lost in that, and that's part of that journey that we all take. So let's talk about this process, because connection is a big thing for you. It became your imprint. It became who you are, what you do. And then I like the backed by science piece really hits me too. Like I'm a pharmacist turned healer, but in the way I've got all the science of wellness and all the science of neuroscience and all these things that I've learned about is this really good piece that hits my analytical. But when we're talking connection, we're really talking about connecting to the heart, right? We both worked with men. We both talk about this thing with men is like, how do we move from here to here and like align the two? So let's dive into connection, because that's first and foremost about who you are and what I want to talk about here. So let's talk about the book. Let's talk about the inspiration behind it, and through your own experience and my own experience, this is how we teach others through our experience, right?
Right.
And let's go into the layers, because I want people to understand this from your perspective of the formula, if you will.
It is a formula. It's actually referred to as a connection formula. You and I both have our own distinct, unique connection formulas that may have some similarities to other people, but are truly our own, because nature doesn't create duplicates. It only creates it only creates originals in a way. Every leaf on every tree is just a little different. Every snowflake, as we know. So you and I have a lot in common. We both have enthusiasm. My nickname, given to me by my bandmate, my garage band in high school, was Enthusiasm. So being
I love that.
enthusiastic is part of who I am. It's not part of who everybody is. You know, Larry David famously curbs his enthusiasm. And
Right.
that's his
Yep.
brand, and that's just fine. It provides a lot of great humor for a lot of people, but I couldn't do that. That's not me. But after doing about 20,000 hours of individual psychotherapy with clients and couples, I did about 200 podcasts with really great thought leaders. This word connection just kept showing up. There was one small problem. What is connection? It's a nebulous term. Everybody seems to want it. It seems to be the precursor to everything we want. And if you look through the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that we use in mental health, disconnection is embedded in many diagnoses as a feature. If you look at depression, oftentimes we're disconnected with the present because we are ruminating about the past. That is a feature of depression. A feature of anxiety is future tripping and catastrophizing, worrying about things that haven't yet happened. As Mark Twain once said, I've lived through thousands of catastrophes, most of which never happened. I relate to that. I don't just treat
right?
Yeah, for sure. And if you think about trauma, dissociation is a feature of it. That's disconnecting, as well as psychosis. It's a break from reality itself. So if at the heart of everything we don't want is disconnection, it seems logical, and it's been my personal and professional experience that connection is at the heart of everything we want. You were talking about connecting with the head and the heart. When our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are aligned, man, there is just no faking it. And when they are not aligned, it's as if we have to go pee really badly. I mean, how present can we be when we got to pee real bad? Let's imagine you and I were at, a great
I love
talk,
that. I love
and
that.
we met in line at the bathroom, and both of us had to pee a wicked pisser. And you and I were trying to connect with ourselves and each other. It would be somewhat impaired. And many of us go through life.
I've never heard this analogy, and I'm using it now. I'm sorry. This is perfect.
Dude, it's yours.
You cannot be present if you gotta pee really bad.
You cannot be present if you gotta pee.
Because
And that's
everybody has had that sensation, so everybody can relate to that being not present. I love that. I'm sorry.
Let's go another way that's super visceral. Imagine you meet somebody for the first time. You meet two people. The first person gives you a nice hearty handshake. The second person gives you one of those limp handshakes that barely touches your hand. It's kind of an ew. Many of us go through life as limp handshakes. We're not really vital. We're not really in this amazing experience called life that is so statistically unlikely that any of us would be experiencing. If you think about the statistical likelihood of any of us being born, it's pretty much zero. The closest I've found is 1 in 10 to the 7.29 millionth power. And of course, that's not precise, but that was the most erudite prediction of, the likelihood of any of us being born. So what I'm driving at is connection is what I believe we are all chasing in this lifetime. It's not happiness. Hedonic happiness, it goes by the wayside. It's meaning. Meaning does not go by the wayside. Fulfillment, that doesn't go by the wayside either. But certainly connection, I think, is a primary driver to all of those things. And so I wanted to look at connection through 4 lenses, the 4 ways we humans can experience it. And there hasn't been a book, to my knowledge, that explores connection as a topic in and of itself. There are books on connection, how to connect your romantic partner, how to connect with your children, how to connect with your clients. But what about connection itself? And if you can imagine an archery target with 4 concentric circles going out, the bullseye is connecting with ourself. It's not selfish to connect with ourselves. It's like we can't go pee. It's like we're trying to pee, or not trying to pee. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. It's like you got to go pee if you're not connecting with yourself. You need to know who you are, what you're about. Your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors really need to be in alignment. Obviously, not all the time, but as much as possible. And we need to be works in process toward that. The next stage is connecting with others. It could be me connecting with my wife, could be connecting with my kids, could be connecting with you now, Josh. Could be connecting with my pets. I've included pets as significant others because we now know that pets are significant others to pet people. I used to run pet loss programs. I volunteered at the Humane Society. I was the grief counselor guy. And the tears that I heard for 4 years while I was doing this were more flowing than in any other context I've provided therapy. The third circle is connecting with the world. So, like, you just went to Mexico, you were connecting with Dr. Joe, you were connecting with fish, if it's okay that I share that. You had amazing connections with the world. You were connecting to art and nature, and you were connecting. Another aspect of connecting to the world, by the way, is connecting to our ancestries. I included that. And then the last is connecting to something greater. Now, for religious folks, it might mean their religion. For spiritual folks, it might mean their spiritual community. For the most orthodox atheist, even for them, when they go to the Grand Canyon and they experience the vastness of the place, they may experience awe. And awe, AWE, has been widely researched. It seems to have the same effects on us as psilocybin. If you look at what happens to our brains when we are in an awe-stricken state, the neural images are similar. The receptors, same receptors are hit as when we are in taking an exogenous psilocybin, the psychoactive chemical, to magic mushrooms, which I obviously do not need to tell you. But there's been a lot of promising studies that are showing that being in such a space makes us more pro-social, kinder to ourselves and others. It's just a better situation. So I wanted to look at it through those 4 basic viewpoints.
I love them. And what I want to highlight is the analogy that you put in there with the archery circles, right? The target is the middle, right? It starts with self. And I had this backwards because when you go through that, we were offline earlier talking about my second mountain of life, but that first mountain of life is you go to school, you learn, you get a job, you get married, you have all this stuff. And all along that way, it's this outside world telling you what to do. And all of a sudden you're working so hard so you can have things with your wife, things with your family, things with your job. And I call it flip the script because I'm a pharmacist turned healer. Like when you flip it, and I brought that back to me, and one of my mentors and friends calls it self-full, not selfish or self-ish
That's interesting.
or selfless. It's self-full, and bringing that. So I love that you put that at the centerpiece. That's so important. And I love the dog thing because, yes, if anyone's listening and you have a dog, you're going to live 10 years longer. They're proving the longevity of having a dog. So we know that there's science connectivity. And if you're in there trying to biohack your best supplement, well, dogs are way up there for me. So
Can I riff off that for a second? Because I mean, Josh, you're talking about something I care so deeply about. And my father's not a dog person. I mean, even though he and I are biologically very similar by about 50%, our connection formulas are vastly different in certain ways. He could sit through a 6-hour Wagnerian opera. I would call it an expensive place to sleep. He could go through 5 lifetimes not touching a dog. I can't get through a day. So the dog thing is such a big deal for those of us who like dogs. Now, here is something that's going to make you say, duh, when you hear it, but you may not have ever thought about it. If you want to know people in your neighborhood, just like they sang in Sesame Street, who are the people in your neighborhood, you get a dog because you're far more likely to be engaged by a stranger if you're walking a dog. And that stranger is your neighbor. When Motzi, my wonderful collie, died, one of the things that I did as a grief exercise was I wrote down the names of all the people Motzi introduced me to. There were like, I'm not joking, there were like 60 great people Motzi introduced me to, including the person who got me my first TED Talk. But I knew the people in my neighborhood. I felt a sense of affiliation to my neighborhood, largely thanks to Motzi. So, and now Rafi, my new dog, oh my God, the guy's just, he's a superstar. He's introduced me to all kinds of cool people.
And my wife, she's just finishing one of the first cohorts in the only United States that has a holistic pet health coaching program. So if you're into wellness and you want to do functional medicine and Chinese medicine and energy medicine, but you don't know what to do with your puppy because you're a lover of wellness, but you love dogs, guess what? There's people that can help you do this. She's cooking food. My dog Max, we rescue dogs, and like it's been so good. So we could probably have a whole podcast on this. I love dog. He's not here with me today, but he's usually in that chair. Like he's your therapy dog. He actually works with you, right? And my dog works with me.
Well, here's the funny thing, Josh. He does work with me sometimes, but ever since COVID hit, my wife ran off with the dog. She's also a psychologist, and she started seeing people in person before I did. So she said, "Is it all right if I bring Rafi in?" And it was like a gateway drug. And then before you knew it, her clients became used to having him around. So I get some custody, but he
beautiful. Well, the thing is this is perfect. We're talking connection, and I loved how you built it into your process and your 4 types and your formulas, because it's like you said, it's these things that make so much simple sense, but we just wash them away. It's kind of like, I've been thinking about this, like from a place of worthiness to receive. Like when someone gives you a compliment and you just wash it off and keep going, instead of pulling that in and going, thank you, that's amazing. And I love the gratitude journaling for, who the hell did I meet with my dog? Because it's so true.
it was a massive deal.
I'm literally putting that as the to-do for me. The relationships and the connections that I had because of a dog, my dog, is amazing. Because yes, you're walking down the street, and if you're a dog lover, not liker, lover, you're going to walk over to that dog and go, oh, look at that dog. He's awesome. My wife is like at the highest tier of dog loving, because she's devoting her whole career now going outside of functional medicine coaching and health coaching to mostly dog coaching, which is so cool, because imagine your dog living this vibrant health and be able to supercharge that connection. So cool, right?
Yeah. Josh, it's so interesting. Back in the day, in the early 2000s, I'd be giving speeches on the pet health, the pet human bond, and the health that could transpire. It was a very young field, and often times people would look at me a little askance. And now we have such a preponderance of evidence, including the idea that in a therapy context, having a dog who's well behaved and well trained and certified, the whole thing, just like Rafi, sitting near you, and while you're stroking the dog, elicits so much oxytocin in the person, actually in the dog too, but oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine, that they're far more likely to say this phrase that is therapeutic gold. I've never said this before, but now we want to hear that, I've never said this before, but statement in therapy, because we need to say the unsayable. We can't fix what we don't talk about. You got to feel it to heal it. You got to say it what it is. A problem well defined is a problem half solved, as some people also say. But having that dog present, who's a certified, well-behaved, safe dog. Check with your insurance if you are a provider yourself, and find out if there are any. We did all those things. Rafi has been a perfect partner in our work, in our practice.
Oh, it's so awesome. And it fulfills their purpose too, right? It's not just like
totally. That's such an interesting.
There's a really good book, and it's I forget what it's called, but I read it, and it's like the life of a dog or something. It goes straight into all the reasons dogs do the way that dogs do. And it's so much of that sensory and like what they bring. And when you talk about connection with the heart, and the bioluminescent field that we have, because if they're stroking the dog, they're right there and they're sharing that information energetically. And so there's, again, like you said, you and I are very connected in this space of like, what's the mechanism behind that? Where's science in there, right? And it's so cool to just, and when I read the longevity studies around literally packing on 5 to 10 years of your life, good life, just by owning a dog, nothing else, like no other reason, because everything unfolds when you own a dog. It's a little kid. It's everything. It's you're putting the love in, and it's It's funny. I love how this all works. My gratitude with my girls going to school, we do a gratitude affirmation every morning.
Mhm.
Was my gratitude was my dog Max, and it's because I appreciate my dog's ability to unconditionally love. Now he's got outliers. There's a few people he walks around at the park as one dude. He just like he reads energy,
Right.
but in the family unit, and he's such a happy dog, and he loves everybody. And that fact that he can unconditionally love and shut off all that stuff within a heartbeat and go right back into the waggle the tail. You've been gone for 12 years. No, it's gone for 3 minutes. Feeling that you get with your dog is so priceless. Anywho.
So priceless. And I'm also a convert. I'm now a switch hitter. Years ago, I hated cats with a passion
We too.
until
I same for me, by the way.
it's so
We got
funny.
that.
And then due to strange circumstance, I ended up with this large Maine Coon cat who came into my life. I fell in love with him. He transformed me in a good way in that he taught me to be more introverted. He taught me to try to find my own purr. I know it sounds a little dorky, but he taught me to try to find new ways to self-soothe and to quiet down. And he, of all the pets I've ever owned, is the one with whom I felt the strongest connection. His name was appropriately Yoda. He's mentioned in the book quite a lot. Now I can't live without a cat as well, but it has to be a super outgoing social cat who's down to hang. I don't want a skittish one who hangs out behind the sofa, but if it's a rock star cat who's just right there with you, oh my god. You have a dog named Max. I had a cat named Max who absolutely was like, if I had a party with 30 people over, Max would be right in the middle of the thing. So cats are awesome. They get a bad rap. They're misunderstood.
Let's not go against the cat lovers too. Like we want to make sure because we did the same thing. My daughter got us to the cat because I was the same way for years. Like I'm a dog person. Like had that persona.
Right.
Like I'm only the dog person.
That's right.
And I had cats growing up, and it was like, but then we got Gigi, and she's super cool. And yes, they teach you these things. I love how you said that. Your animals teach you if you're listening and if you're aware of what they're teaching you. Otherwise, they're just a pet. And when you have that connection to it, yes, if I had to look back, like Gigi, my cat, she shows the ultimate self-care, right? She's going to do her first all the time. It's just about me. Like I'll come up to you and I'll wiggle on you, but I'm not going to love on you like the dog. Like it's like I'm going to do it when I need to. And that's cool because you get to literally think about what are they teaching me? Because we got the mirror. The mirror's in front of us all the time. And we usually talk about that mirror when we have a strained relationship or a strained connection. Like, what am I supposed to learn about myself? I'm projecting this out into, and this person's projecting it back. It's that mirror. But we also have that mirror of love and goodness when they're coming back in that same way, and we can learn from that both. So that's such a cool thing that you said.
I have to throw one other thing, especially because you are a pharmacist. So Yoda, who I talked about, he had two conditions that were really, really bad to have together. He had a hypoimmune disorder and a hyperimmune disorder. His hypoimmune disorder was called FIV, like HIV for humans, but for felines. And he also had a hyperimmune disorder, which was asthma. So treating one impacted the other.
Yeah,
and so
I'm just going really crazy with my brain on that one already.
And so this was during the point when I was 27 and doing my own ADHD coaching. And one of the things that I did was take care of him consistently. And I did it through a multimodal approach. I did Western allopathic medicine. I did nutraceuticals as well as Eastern approaches, like what you were talking about with your wife. And it required so much brain strength to balance all of those things. Yoda actually not only became my teacher about like how to be better as a human and an introvert, and as you said, being more self-full, but he also taught me how to take care of someone who was ailing. And so he was my first fathering process. I fathered this cat, and he lived far longer than he was projected to live. I was told he had about a year. We got about 5 more high quality years. I committed to him that I would not keep him alive and unhappy that when he told me it was time to go, I would usher him out. And I did stand by that promise because I didn't want to have that kind of regret either. But he taught me so much. So yeah, big deal. That's all I can say about the
Oh,
past.
I love that too. That's so powerful because I have a very similar heartfelt story with our first rescue dog, Bandit, where he has a
Oh,
lot of health issues. He was our starter kid, right? We didn't have kids before him, and we got him about 5 extra years of life. And it was the same thing when the time was there, he told us, and it was there.
exactly.
When
And of course,
when you're open and you're aware, you just get this stuff. All right. Let's go back. This was amazing. And this is how I love these conversations because you never know where they're going to go. Let's talk about the formula.
yeah,
Let's talk about the formula. Like what you obviously coach people. You've read a book. You wrote a book. It's a beautiful book. It's right here. I've dived into it a little bit, and I can't wait to go all in on it because I've had this beautiful relationship, understanding my life, not purpose, but every connection point that I've had up until now has all been around these what I called relationships, but they're really these things with myself, with others, the world, and something greater. So I'm so high resonance with this. So let's talk about your formula and how you bring people from X to Y or X to Z.
absolutely.
And
And I'm stoked to do that. So let's even go even a little bit more primary and say, what is connection? Because we keep talking about connection. If you look it up in the dictionary, it says connecting to things, to ideas, to people. That's not what we're talking about here. There's something more that when people talk, I need more connection in my life. What do they mean? If you look it up in the American Psychological Association's lists of definitions of things, there is no definition for that. If you look up Psych Central, they have a pretty good definition, but not quite complete. So part of the task of writing this book was coming up with a working definition. I enlisted 10 fellow mental health practitioners who are licensed to come up with a working definition. I even included in this was Harville Hendricks, who I just absolutely adore. He's one of the most important contributors to the field of relationship therapy. Just genius. But the short answer, because it took about a page or so to actually define, is it's what brings us alive. It's vitality. It's life force. It's resonance. You know it when you feel it. So I'm going to ask you a question, Josh. I want you to tell me about 2 songs from your childhood. A song you absolutely loved and you knew it, like pretty much the first time you heard it, and a song you might have been told you should love because all the other kids loved it, but you didn't love.
What resonates with me automatically, and it's still that you get that feeling, right? The feeling when you were a kid. It wasn't what I loved, it's what I connected with, which was Billy Joel.
Which song in
Oh
particular?
God, there's a
He was so
bunch of
good.
them. Because it aligns me so much with my connection point with my mother. It was like she would sing the songs to me, and I'm trying to think of the ones that
Something like Piano Man or
no, it was these heartfelt ones that she would sing to me. And every time I hear, and there's a myriad of them, so it'll come to me in this practice. But
I'm thinking Vienna Waits for You, but who knows?
well, I'm not really good with song names. I'm good.
All right. Well, but you knew it when you heard
yeah,
it.
exactly. It was like, oh, I can go straight there. It's like Billy Joel. My wife, it's the Beach Boys because her dad loved the Beach Boys and all the oldies, like all these oldies, they would sing and they would do it together. But it's that connection you have automatically.
For sure. And then there are songs that you're told you should love, and you might even go to the concerts just to be in the group. And you say, oh, yeah, I'm so hyped, but you don't really feel it. And that is something I also noticed a lot. So people, their response to music is very much in line with the response to almost any stimulus. It could be their work. They are good at being an accountant, but they don't love being an accountant. People go into law school, work really hard, become lawyers, pass the bar, and they find out that they really hate law. Law has a very high attrition rate, oftentimes because there's a zero-sum game involved. And then there are other lawyers who are like, man, I was born to be a lawyer. I love it. And both are valid. The thing is, the people who took the red herring, took the false cue, and went the route that they were told they should go, and they try to make it fit. It's like wearing ill-fitting shoes. It doesn't work. You can walk from like a mile, but you're going to get blisters, and it's not going to be a long walk. You know it when you're putting on a good pair of shoes that you can go a long walk in. And that's what we're talking about. Music, shoes, all of these are metaphors. And you know it when you feel it.
This is where I was going to go with this. Like, it immediately goes to the part of like the mind thinks, the heart knows.
That's good. That's good.
We go here in the analytical, and this is why I love men's work, because we're so up here. We're so left brain. We're so up here, and getting men here, it doesn't mean that they're going to be weak or feminine. It's like this strong new male masculine, but like thinking about that, like you just know that song, you know that comfort food. I love the shoe thing too, because guess what? We've all bought a pair of shoes that we think are supposed to be really awesome, and we put them on. It didn't feel right, but we freaking bought them anyway. And every time we put them on, your mind is like, these don't feel right. Why the hell did you buy them? And
you have no idea how much that resonates with me. I have really, really wide feet. I have 4Es, and it's terrible because they don't make really good waterproof shoes for somebody with my shoe size. So I'll be wearing these hiking boots, and I'll be like saying to my wife, don't these look amazing? And they've got all the features I want. She's like, yeah, but do they feel good? Like, they don't feel good, but I'm sure it's going to work out. She's like, honey, you can't buy these boots. You need to be able to walk. And I'm like, but so even with all of this knowledge, I can still fall victim to trying to reconcile or trying to rationalize something that doesn't work. Because it should work. There's such cool, because I'm at REI, and these are the best looking hiking boots ever. I definitely want them, and they don't work, and I'm so bummed.
And there's all those programming going. This is the best one, and the great thing, and I love researching stuff. And then I'm like, I know I want that, and then all of a sudden I've made my mind up, and I put them on. I'm like, I'm convincing myself why I should buy this thing, even though it doesn't feel right. So let's get into that feel. I had a similar. I loved how you talk about lawyers and physicians, because I coach a lot of pharmacists and into more healthcare providers around getting into their why and their purpose. Because a lot of the times we go into it with one reasoning, we want to help people, then we get into the job and the system's corrupt and all these things are happening, and there's an 8-minute visit, and then you got to fill the scripts, and all of a sudden you're like, that's not why I did this. And so I had a really good episode that was talking about you can do that and still feel full. You can do your current job. You don't have to leave it. You can still work around feeling that full. And I imagine this is where you're going with your stuff, right? Is like getting to you first moves that forward into all those spaces.
Absolutely. And if you think about its opposite, you may have heard the expression hurt people hurt people. When you don't feel full, you might feel actually rather resentful, and you might say something to someone you love that you shouldn't have said, and you can't maybe even take back. That's the worst case scenario. Versus, let's say you and I just came back from like an amazing experience at a Fish concert, because I know you're super into it, and your kid comes up and hugs you. I mean, your heart's much more open. Now, not everything in life is going to be Fish concert, but we can have micro connections too. Let's say you go to Walgreens, and the person who checks you out as you're leaving says something really nice, or you have a meaningful connection. It's a micro connection. We pass it on. And by doing the symbiotic exchange, the person who was working at Walgreens is more likely to be kind to the next person who comes through. And you're more likely to open the door for the person as they're coming in and smile and say, kind of jokingly, hey, welcome to Walgreens. Just have a micro connection. And these vibes continue. So I know it sounds really, kind of new agey when I say vibes, but I mean it. These vibes continue.
Well, the thing is we can dive into the science, and we've done this a lot. It's energy, and energy it's like this. I say to people, like, you don't understand. There's no plug here, but it still works.
You're holding up a smartphone for those who can't see.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. There's podcasts of people that actually just listen. That's great. This thing, it has Wi-Fi and has all these things. And how does it work? It's like, we don't understand that, but it's still there. And so these we know that there's this about 3-foot wide field that we have. It's called an electromagnetic signal. It's this, people call it in the woo, call it aura, but we can call it a field. And we know that it's true. This is why the dogs are good. This is why we're that connection. And this is why I left the CVS Walgreens world to start my own pharmacy, because they wouldn't allow me to do that. What you said, like if my patient feels like they were taken care of, this is why part of the placebo effect works, because people get better off nothing when they feel better and they think it's going to work. So when you put love in that bottle and they just feel like they were taken care of. We've talked about this because I do a lot with providers, is their outcomes are better. And this is what we're talking about, is we're literally talking about how we can infuse these connection points with people, even in micro doses, right? In micro doses, because I do this a lot, right? This connection is like, I just pour, like, you can call it love, you can call it connective, you can call it vibe, whatever you want to call it. I can speak woo or science, it doesn't matter. But like taking these to the next level is like, how did I make someone smile today? Like the cashier at the grocery store who's in a miserable mood, and I just pour all I can. I just do it as an experiment for myself, really. It's like, how can I make them feel better? I was like, hey, how's your day going? Oh, I can't wait to get off. Oh yeah, that's really cool. Like just pour it out and see what happens. And then all of a sudden, by the end of the transaction, they're smiling, they're perky, because it's authentic for me to want to like just help other people brighten their day. This is why we say gratitudes. We can't give them enough.
So one of the prescriptions I give people when they are depressed or socially anxious is, I'm sure you have Trader Joe's where you live, and I say, when the Trader Joe's counter person is virtually always super friendly, and I say, listen, your one homework assignment this week is to ask the Trader Joe's person what is a product that they absolutely love that I might have missed. So you ask the question, hey,
That's an engagement question,
and they come alive. It's a formula for instant connection, because every Trader Joe's employee has a product that you don't know about. Now, I have no financial affiliation with Trader Joe's. I just like the store. I'm a fanboy, and I like their vibe. I like their culture, and their checkout people tend to be really, really nice. And you just say, hey, what's a product you really like here that I might have missed? And the checkout person usually will come alive and say, oh man, you know what you need to try. And sometimes they'll even like get the person to ring the bell and say, get this person this thing. And
hold on. And then they run and go grab it. They're here. This is it. They're so passionate about it. I love that.
And it's just add water. And immediately, like, the social anxiety goes down for the person who's experiencing it. And one of the things that you and I both know is that if you want to feel better, try to make somebody else feel better. That's one of the quickest ways to do it. Volunteer, make somebody else's day. It's almost a Hallmark card. It's almost so cliche, but it's really true, because there's a chasm between what we know and what we do. We know to do this, but we don't do it. And the question is, examining the chasms between what we know and what we do. And that's a big part of the connection principles that I mentioned in the book as well. Some of the stuff is, simple but not easy. It's stuff we know but we don't do. And some of it is stuff we don't know and should do. But connecting with others is a symbiotic experience, just like we were talking about the pet and the human. Both the pet and the human receive benefits. Human to human,
I love that.
It's a beautiful It's a beautiful chicken and egg experiment, because as we do this, and as you and I are vibing, I mean, we're 3,000 miles away from each other right now, Josh, and we're totally vibing.
Well, it's non-linear, right? It's non-local. Energy is non-local, people. You can. How many times have you thought about someone with really good love, and all of a sudden, a minute later, they text you?
I don't get that one. That is amazing.
I do.
It's amazing.
You want to talk? We'll talk on your podcast.
That's amazing. I would love to talk about that, because it's happened too many times in my own life, and I just don't get it.
Everybody's had a synchronicity in their life. If you look at like some synchronistic thing that just fell into your lap, you have no idea why. That's because there's an alignment of energy. Like we're proving this science now, which is so fun for me. I love this formula. I love it.
Right on. Yeah. So it's my contention that we need to be alive while we're living. And if we want to be alive while we're living, this dash between our birth and death date, if we want it as much of a vital handshake rather than the limp handshake that I described, we need to find our connection formula. Oftentimes, one of the quickest ways to doing this is reinstating a relationship with a thing that we used to do but let fall through the cracks. For some people, it's a musical instrument. For some people, it's a type of exercise. For some people, it's a friendship that they let fall years ago that they need to re-engage. All of these things are probably the easiest, the lowest hanging fruit. The next level is, of course, doing things that your mom told you about, like try it, you might like it principle. Like my mom used to always say, try this, you might like it. And I'd say, Mom, that sounds super lame. And I try it and it'd be actually pretty awesome. It could be a food, it could be an activity, it could be hanging out with it could be a play date that I was kind of reluctant to engage in. But the try it, you might like it principle is a really good one. Worst case scenario, there's no aliveness there. Okay, next. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Try the next thing. So I'm a big fan of all of these things, but one of the things that we do is we tend to get distracted. We are all carrying this little blue light in our pockets known as a smartphone, and it says, feed me. It says, pay attention to me. Give me your eyeballs. Give me your life force and heartbeats. Now, I use it. I'm not throwing shade at smartphones. They do a lot of great things, but the problem is it's a slippery slope. Many of us say we're so busy we don't have time for X, Y, or Z, but if we actually looked at how we allocated our time on a pie chart, so much of it is doom scrolling and doing other things. So much of it is allocated to FOMO behaviors. FOMO is a big distractor from connecting. I should go to this party because I don't want to miss out, except for the fact that I have no desire to go to this party. In fact, what I'd much rather do is go out with my wife for a meaningful, romantic date and wherever. But no, I don't want to miss out. FOMO is in our brains. Our brains have all kinds of cognitive biases, all kinds of bugs. Patrick McGinnis, who came up with the term FOMO, calls us FOMO sapiens. What about JOMO? What about the joy of missing out? There's a joy of missing out. There are other things that happen. There's the negativity bias, where our negative experiences outweigh the good ones, and that is for our survival, and yet it harms our thrival. We don't thrive when we listen to the negativity bias. The negativity bias is when 10 things happen, 9 of which are good and 1 of is bad, and what do we focus on? Well, we do that for scientific reasons that are fairly obvious in terms of our evolution and survival. We needed to pay attention to what might kill us rather than what was awesome. And we need to hack into our brains and override negativity bias. The going for what's easy is one of my biggest distractors. You wake up on Saturday morning after a long week's work. You start brewing up some coffee. You turn on the Netflix. It's streaming. It's back to back. You pet the dog. You start opening some snail mail. You open up your phone and you see what's going on with the text and the emails and the social media. You're doing all these things. And time is going by and you're paying attention to not one of these single things, but you're doing multiple things at once. And then Monday comes around and you say, why am I not rejuvenated?
What the hell just happened, right?
What the hell just happened? Where did my weekend go?
My Saturday's done. And we moved into Sunday. Oh,
totally. Yeah. And many of us do this because we go for what is easy rather than doing what's hard, what costs a little bit up front. Let's say we want to go for a bike ride. Well, we're going to have to pump up those bikes. We're going to have to get the hydration. We're going to have to, perhaps if you live where I live, get a car rack because there's not a really good place to bike near here, and do all the things that are the barriers to entry, the startup costs. Some people call it activation energy. It requires these things. But on the other side of doing this, when you're driving home, even though your lactic acid in your thighs hurt like hell, you say to yourself, that was awesome. Especially if you do it with somebody else. I got some photons. I got some I got some biotherapy because I saw a bunch of trees and heard some birds. I got some cardio activity. It's all good. Versus, just kind of sitting stagnant, doing all these things at once, but doing nothing really. So I would ask you, which window would give you more vigor, which would give you more vitality and resonance? It's oftentimes doing something that requires a little bit more activation energy.
I love that. I love that we went into the disconnection piece, because the opposite of connection is disconnection. And we know we have these things called cell phones and smartphones. You call it this, what'd you say, the scroll of doom? I call it the scroll of
Doom
death.
scrolling. Yeah,
I
either
call it the
way.
scroll of death. Like you pick whichever one you want. And these are, I love how you do. I've said this with health and wellness, is it's simple but not easy. You just said
Yes.
it. Like, everything you said, nobody on the planet would say, "Oh, that's totally off base." Like, no, it's true. We know, and there's studies to show that. Like, I want to share it with you because, like, they did a study on cell phones, and my mentor sent it to me, that says when kids are on this thing, they're disassociating from their reality, not just disconnected. You talked about psychosis. Well, how do you start the path of psychosis? Is you start to disconnect.
That's
And
right.
so we have a lot of work to do, but yes, put on your gym shoes is the first step of going on. So that activation energy doesn't have to get you to where you want to go, by the way. Because when you get that first, it's like the flywheel effect. As soon as you put on your shoes, or as soon as you want to do 10 push-ups, you do one. Guess what? You're automatically going to want to do another because you already got to the point of one. So pumping up the tires will get you to the next level. It's automatic. It's automatic.
That's right. Once you
We've
start
all
that.
done this. So it's not like I have to tell you the formula, but like if you put your bike on your car, the chances of you going to the bike park at that point are pretty damn high. I'm going to just put it on the car and now I'm going to go back to Netflix. You got there.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to throw shade at Netflix. I love streaming stuff. I do it all the time. I'm a massive fan, but at the complete expense of doing the other, it's not good. So my basic tenet is create more, consume less. And when I say create, it doesn't necessarily mean like drawing and painting. I'm terrible at both and I wouldn't do either. But I'm talking about creating new muscle pathways through biking, creating new connections through talking with your spouse and going for a walk in the sunlight, creating by having a conversation with Josh over, over Zoom, or writing, or whatever it is that you consider creating, where you're doing something with your heartbeats that feels really good and generates something. When we're generating something besides just feel bad chemicals through doom scrolling or just numbing out, by the way, perfectly adequate, a coping strategy for a time. But if it becomes the go-to and the only thing you do, you might as well just be checked out. So we need engagement.
Do more of this, less of this, right? And it's balance.
Exactly, more and less.
It's not balance. You're never going to be fully balanced.
That's right.
Balancing is you're over here. It's like you said it earlier. I've lived this. Is live life now. Like live life to its fullest. Live while you're living, not, oh, I'm on my deathbed. I wish I had done X, Y, and Z. Because guess what? They do the studies on people on they're terminally ill, and they go, well, what's your biggest regret? I didn't have more connections. I didn't do more things with my family and the people I love. It's all of these, right? I wish
you nailed it.
I wish I had said yes to myself I wish I had been a doctor or a astrophysicist, whatever that was that they had, that they wanted, they never said yes to. My friend calls it the yes way. Is like, do you first. Have those connection calls with others. Have those connection points with others. Connect with the world. I love this one. This is my favorite one right now, besides getting higher into my consciousness and spirituality, is nature. Like people in Japan pay a lot of money. They call it forest bathing. I don't know if you've heard that, but they literally, like, executives in Japan will pay a lot of money to just sit in nature. Well, you don't have to go to the Himalayas to go sit in nature. You can just go outside and go to a park or be in nature, connect in that world in all these different ways with community. And then Yes, something
It
greater.
was really, yeah. So I actually speak Japanese. I lived in Japan, and forest bathing is very, very much a part of something I care about. It was really cute the other day. My 84-year-old mother called me and said, "Adam, have you ever heard of this thing called forest bathing? I just did it." Well, I was like, "Mom, I wrote about it in my book, but yes, it's in there." But you don't need to do anything really special. She's 84. She'd never done it before. She loved it. And one of the things that I love, and part of the way I create, believe it or not, is it might, some people might say this isn't creating, but it, for me, it definitely is. I sit under my tree with my Kindle and read, and I read
Mm.
good stuff. And for me, just taking in the sounds of birds. One of the things that we're missing out on, by the way, is birdsong. And birdsong tells us that we are safe versus when we're on social media and we're hearing 24-hour news saying that we are not safe. um, we need to reconnect with nature. It's called biophilia or forest bathing or however you want to call it. It's sitting under a tree, reading, or going to an actual forest and just, becoming one with that place. My wife says that my face literally changes within minutes of being in nature. That's such interesting feedback. And I know that is not anomalous. I know that for many of us, just going back to nature changes everything. Why is it that children at sleepaway camp have the greatest time on average, assuming the camp is a good one, and they don't want to leave? I mean, the food is crap. The sleeping situations generally are
That's
not
so
optimal.
true. The best.
You're getting dirty and blah blah blah, and it's not about possessions or money. It's about the connections that we have with nature and people, and the crafts and activities. But it's really about just feeling like you're a part of something. It's so wired in our brains. So we don't need fancy things. In fact, we have strong evidence that pursuing material over experiences is not a good use of our money. Now, I love certain things. I've even interviewed the world's expert on non-human love, which is our love of things. But we are going to, I mean, the Beatles got it right, particularly when it was written by Paul. Love is the answer. The thing that we want, the thing you were talking about, deathbed studies, the two things that we regret the most are love left on the table and chances not taken, just like you said.
Yep.
And love left on the table. So many of us snub love. And as you said, one of the things that my wife used to say to me when we were dating was take in the compliment. I wouldn't take it in. We have an expression. We say, please receipt me. Show me that you actually heard the nice thing I said.
Ooh, I gotta write that one down.
Yeah, that's my wife's original. I love that. Receipt me. And I like, oh, you're right, honey. You just told me that you're so happy to be with me. And I just kind of just said, I just went on to me, oh, I'm so happy to be with you too. And then it's like, oh yeah,
I
you're
actually
really
funny.
happy to be with me. How
I
nice.
did that with my 8-year-old because I every night I say, "You're my favorite little daughter," because she's the little one.
Aw.
And she goes, "You're my favorite big daddy." But then I go, "I love you," and she always goes, "I love you too." And I said, how about you just bask in the sense that I love you sometimes?" And she came up with that herself. Instead of me like saying, "Don't say anything back," I said, "I love you." And she did this. This is funny, Adam, because she said it. She goes, "This is what she does." She goes, "Received," and then she doesn't say anything back.
That's amazing. Wow. What a gift to give a child at such a young age.
And man, and then I'm almost crying and so because now I say like I love you, and it'll be random now, and she'll be like, "Received," and she
Dude,
just
that's
hits it.
amazing.
Isn't that cool? It's like, oh,
That
and
is
then
really cool.
then I get the connection point. Like, oh, it's me. Oh, all
And then
right.
and then and then she can even more fully come back and say, "Daddy, I love you too." And then you can say, "Received."
It's such a cool thing because it was just this flow state of daddy daughter time.
Oh, dude,
So
that's
cool.
great. I've never, I will never know what it's like to have a daughter. And I'm kind of the uncle to various girls, and that's such a sweet thing. But I've been so fortunate with my sons. They are amazing, amazing dudes. Like if I could have chosen them in a store, they were the ones that I wanted. They're amazing. I refer to them as kind of being like jet engines that are my feet, or rocket engines. They're fantastic. And they are they're total dudes, and yet they're totally down with the whole the whole love thing. They're kind of, as we were talking, kind of very integrated in terms of masculine and feminine qualities.
Yeah.
Amazing. They
Yeah.
can throw the crap out of a football, and they can also tell me they love me.
I love that because we always talk about like the new age masculine in the modern day and everything. And it's like I have two beautiful girls and they're beautiful, and it's like I do all my men's work and I also do it for my girls because we need to teach men how to be real men in this world. So my
Sure.
daughters know that they're going to be able to hopefully be with those kind of men. So it's so cool. And yes, I'm a dad of girls and I was supposed to be that. And I tell my girls, I said, thank you for choosing me to be,
Ah, nice.
because your soul chose me. I didn't choose you. And it's such a beautiful way to just have that relationship with your kids. I love being a dad. I'm in this amazing group called Front Row Dads. Like we're all heart-centered, beautiful men trying to be awesome dads and business evolution. It's been such a good thing for me. So I'm glad that you brought up the connection points with your children in this beautiful way, right?
Yeah, it's been an incredible experience to be a father. It was something I was kind of reluctant to do because I was terrified. And I
There's
think
never a time where you're like, I'm super ready to be to think like that. It doesn't, I don't care what age you are, you're never freaking ready.
Yeah,
And it's the
and all I can
hardest
tell you, yeah,
and most rewarding thing in the universe.
yeah, for me that's been true too. And boy, I'm so glad that I chose my mate very well. I could not have crushed it harder. And interestingly, one of the things that I really recommend is that we use our brain when it comes to choosing our loved one because it has to work functionally as well. It can't just be
Mm.
love cures everything if we can't make decisions because we are such an inefficient system. We have to have similar values. Unfortunately, my wife and I have very similar values about how many children we wanted, about how we wanted to raise them, about where we wanted to live, about what type of school we wanted them to go to. All of those things were aligned. So I'm a big fan of all the information sources, our brain, our heart, our gut, and of course, a sexual connection. All those things matter. We have to have green lights on all. But one of the things I actually tell people when they are considering a mate is to start with the brain. Ask yourself what has worked and what hasn't worked in your world. What are the non-starters? Because oftentimes we fall in love with somebody, the sex is great, the romance is high, except for there are like two or three non-starters. There are deal breakers in the mix, and we hope they will go away. We hope it will still work out.
When
And
has that ever happened, by the way? When has
and
that
it
ever
just
happened?
doesn't. It really doesn't. And I've certainly done it myself. So I was really glad that when I chose my wife, when I finally got to an age where I was like, dude, get serious. I literally wrote out like what it was almost like that movie High Fidelity, if you've ever seen it with John Cusack, where he
Mm.
tries to go through all of his relationships and figure out like what happened and what worked and what didn't work, evaluating that, actually looking at the raw data of what works for you, not what should work, but what does work. Because choosing our mate is the single most important thing we will do in our lifetimes from where I stand. That's been my experience. The majority of our happiness or misery will be derived from that one decision, according to H. Jackson Brown, who wrote a book about life's little secrets. I agree with that notion. As a therapist, the number one complaint in my office, if it was a family feud, our number one survey answer is trouble with my spouse. And the second would be trouble with my work. The third would be money and sex, kind of in third and fourth would be money and sex. So these are the things that people don't think about enough from where I sit. They think that love will conquer all. Well, not necessarily. We need to be a good fit in as much as the shoes that we try on at REI that look great, but and have all the features, but maybe don't fit great.
Beautiful. That's amazing. So, where do people get this? Amazon,
Yes,
everywhere.
you betcha. Amazon, Barnes and Noble in particular.
You have a website because a lot of times,
I do have a website. It will lead you to the book if you
perfect.
find it. It's www dradamdorsay.com, DRADAMDORSAY. My TED Talks are there, the one on friendship and adulthood, the one on men and emotions. They're both there. On my podcast, which has had interviews with people like Steve Kerr from the Golden State Warriors and Temple
Nice.
Grandin, who's an autism specialist, as well as people like Lori Gottlieb and a whole bunch of other folks have been on. And you can find out about my keynote speeches. I love to give those. I was just this year's California Psychological Association's keynote speaker for their annual convention to a room full of psychologists. My work has been vetted by a host of corporations and as well. So if you want me for keynote, I'm so
corporate.
down.
You do the keynotes. So if you're listening and you're like me, because I'm in all these circles where I love listening to good keynotes and talking about good things in my conferences, like, dude, this would be an amazing. I could tell, like, from just the TED Talk out of you, I could hear it. Like, there's so much meaning in just short period of time that we've had today, where there's so many to-dos. I don't even have to ask, like, all the things that people need to do because we've already gone through them. And if you wanted anyone listening today, if you had to give them one thing about what we talked about, what would it be?
It would simply be this: your birthright is connection. And however you do it, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. Find what brings you alive. Own it. Obviously, again, as long as you're not hurting anybody or yourself, it's yours. And you just know it when it's there. Listen to your body and its cues. Look for vitality. We want to be alive while we're living.
No, that's the essence of this, right? The essence of this is, and not think, when that is true for you. So,
if you know.
Thank you so much for this conversation. It's been amazing. I can't wait to connect with you more because that's what I love to do. I love to keep my connections and I love to nurture them. So this has been amazing. Adam, this is awesome. I'm so glad. I can't wait to dive in more on this book and learn more about this process more wholly and more in depth. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Josh, loved every second of it. Thanks so much.
All right. Till next time, guys, stay well.
Thanks for joining me today on Beyond the Pills. If our mission to de-prescribe 10 million unnecessary medications resonates with you, share this episode, subscribe, and leave a review. Whether you're a practitioner or someone ready to reclaim your health, visit rx2wellness.com for free resources to begin your journey. Together, let's go beyond the pills and co-create a world of vibrant health and true healing. Until next time, live better and stay well.